Hi everyone, Heather Gauthier here, GelMoment Independent Distributor. I wanted to do a quick tutorial to show you how to recreate this ombre sunset forest look. So I've got my nail stick here today, and if I were doing this on my actual nails, I would want to buff my nail first and then wipe it with a cleansing pad. But I've already cleaned this nail stick, so I'm all set to go here. I've got my colors set out, and for cleaning my brush throughout, I have one of the remover pads already laid out, and I've got some extras just in case. I've got my GelMoment Professional LED Lamp, and I have a couple of brushes and a dotting tool out of the Creativity Set. So I'm going to start off by taking Perfectly Plum, which is one of the colors I used to create the background of my ombre. And I also used Beauty Queen and Maya's Cheeks in those early stages. Now you're going to see a glove on my hand. I'm participating in a nail off, and I can't reveal that design yet, so I apologize. So I'm going to roll my polishes to make sure that they are well mixed before I use any of them. I don't want to introduce bubbles into the polish before I put it onto my nail stick. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of Perfectly Plum, and this is going to go up at the top of my nail towards where the cuticle would be. I don't need too much on here. I'm going to apply this first, and then I'm going to use the large fan brush to distribute it. So here's a layer. I want to leave a gap where the cuticle would be on my nail. Put some purple Perfectly Plum on there. I like to seal my polish up just to keep the light out. And then when I'm ready to start blending more, I'll put some of the colors on my mat. But to start off, I'm going to keep it up there. So I'm going to put Beauty Queen on here as well in the middle. I don't want to contaminate my brush in my bottle, so I'm not going to let the polishes touch at this point. That's what the brushes from the Creativity Set are for. And then Maya's Cheeks at the end of the nail, and I will also use that one to cap the nail. So I don't want it to touch Beauty Queen because I don't want to contaminate my bottle of polish. And then I will cap the nail and smooth my polish out again. So I have all the polish on there that I need to get started. Now I'm going to take my large fan brush and I'm going to wipe across the nail. This can get messy on your actual nail because you are getting polish onto your skin, but it's really easy to wipe that up with a cleansing cloth after. So I'm kind of moving it back and forth across to bring the colors up and down a little bit, but I find this is a pretty fast way to lay down the base of my ombre. There we go. And it's only going to end up being a thin coat, but that's okay. And then, just like I would if it were my nail, I'm going to clean up around to make sure that I don't have any polish that's going to cure where I don't want it. So that would be if it were on my skin, on my cuticle. Touch that back up there. If you're finding your polish won't level at this stage, that's okay. It will as you continue to add layers, but you can also tap your nails to help level it out. So the reason I'm using my professional lamp is so that I can turn that on right now. I really like to use my deluxe lamp when I'm doing my nail art because I just put my hand in and the sensor will start it automatically. But the nail sticks are too flat, so I like to use my professional lamp to still cure the polish in 45 seconds, but also to allow me to turn it on manually when I'm ready. So I'm going to start to add a little bit more of these colors, and because I don't want to cross-contaminate them while I'm waiting, I am going to put some onto my mat. So a little bit of Perfectly Plum, a little bit of Beauty Queen, a little bit of Maya's Cheeks, and this will help to make the next part of the process just a little bit faster. Once I have a little bit of polish on the nail, I find that the ombre adheres a little bit more easily. So I have some polish still on my fan brush. It's important to make sure your orientation is correct when you're working with this, because it will affect your end result if you start to get it backwards. But with GelMoment, the beauty is that I can just wipe it off and try that layer again if I accidentally cross-contaminate it. So the large fan brush is a new tool to me, but I'm quite enjoying how easy this makes the ombre. And I've found that it's also a matter of patience, that not being afraid to do a thin coat that doesn't quite have the coverage that I want here and there, and then adding them together over time produces the result that I'm looking for, just kind of with a little bit of persistence there. So you can already see that sunset starting to emerge. And once again, I'm going to wipe off the nail stick where I don't want the polish to cure. And then I will put it back into my lamp. All right, so that has cured. I'll probably add another couple of layers to my ombre to get the result that I'm looking for. I probably will only do one more with the large fan brush, and then I'll fine tune it. Oh, see, that's what I was talking about. Make sure you've got the orientation correct. So I don't want that at the end. I will just wipe that off. And then let's give that another shot. So this is one of my new favorite tools for spreading out the polish, laying down the base. Done with this one, so I'm going to wipe it off on the remover pad. Get all of the extra polish off of that. And then I'm going to grab another brush here. And I'm going to deliberately add a little bit more and fill in the color a little bit more with my flat brush here. So because I'm mixing the colors anyway, I don't worry too much about going from the pink into the purple or vice versa. If I was finding that I was transferring too much of the wrong color, I might wipe off my brush on the remover pad first. But at this point, this is doing right what I want it to. And I'm just mixing a little bit more of the color to get a little bit of a more solid blend there, to make the ombre a little bit more fluid. There we go. And that looks pretty good. Back into cure. All right, and that is cured now. So I'm going to start to add in the cloud layer. And for this I used Lovey Dovey and a little bit more Beauty Queen. My nail provided a nice pink background underneath this, so with a couple of layers of the ombre, it blended quite well. It could use a little bit more on the nail stick just because it doesn't have that background, but we will move on. And I'm going to use a thin striper brush to do my clouds now. And this just was kind of a process of kind of trying to put some wispy, lovey-dovey lines on there. And then I mixed in a little bit of Beauty Queen, because the picture that I was working from came from another distributor. She had snapped a beautiful photo of the sunset from a couple of weeks earlier, and it just inspired me. I really, really wanted to try and recreate it on my nails, and that photo is available with my manicure superimposed on it just for comparison, because I just thought it was stunning. So a little bit of Beauty Queen, a little bit of Lovey Dovey. I think I want to add a little more Lovey Dovey. Get rid of some of the polish on there. And we'll bring that through a little bit. To create even smoother blending, I did on some of my nails use my large fan brush again to pull that through, pull that across. I think I'm going to add a little bit more Beauty Queen actually. I don't have enough on my mat here. There we go. Because this picture I was working from had a really beautiful, intense pink streak with white clouds. And so I really wanted to try and capture that. A little more here. And the whole process just is a lot of guessing, checking, adding a little more until you're finally happy with it. And my favorite part about doing nail art with GelMoment gel polishes is that if I don't like the layer, I can wipe it off and try again, and I don't lose any of my progress to date. So I definitely have done that, where I've wiped off a layer or two and tried again. Oops. There we go. Okay, so this is the nail I'm basing this tutorial off of. So I'm going to do a couple of trees now in Nightingale in the background, and then we'll start to build the foreground. So Nightingale was my choice for background trees and for some highlights on the snow later. So I won't need a ton of this, but I'll give it a little dollop there. And then I'm going to take my, detail brush here, and I'm going to dip that into the Nightingale. And I find I like to place it in the orientation that I'm actually going to see it after or display it. And then I had done some trees in the background just by making some vaguely triangular but kind of blurry edged shapes on my nail. So there's one, and then maybe I'll put another one over here. This is going to take a couple of layers to build its effect. And then Raven's Kiss will go in front of it. And so you really just are using this to create kind of the impression that there are more trees behind. So the amount of detail that you put into these trees doesn't have to be particularly enormous. There we go. Cure that. All right. And I'm going to add a second coat of Nightingale to these background trees so that you can't see the sky through them. But as I said before, the amount of detail that you're actually going to see for these is minimal. They're just to help highlight the trees made out of the raven's kiss that I'll add shortly. There we go, another cure under the lamp. And now I'm going to need Raven's Kiss to do my foreground trees. So that's all mixed up. I'm going to put some of it on my mat. That brush just really wants to get started. So, oops. We will grab some of the black with my thin striping brush. And then you can see here, I've got kind of one central tree between the two gray trees, and then I have another slightly smaller one off to the side that I might try to recreate here. But each of my nails was different, and part of that just depended on how the forest started to be built. So I'm going to start, just give myself an idea of the center of the tree. And then I just built out the sides of the tree to achieve the shape I was looking for, just by making little tiny lines with my striper brush. So just some little lines there. I'm actually going to get a little bit more Raven's Kiss to finish that off. So I'm just going to add a little bit more in that vertical and horizontal line kind of pattern, just creating the effect of a nice bushy pine tree. And then I'm going to add a second tree here because I have lots of nail estate to work with. So I'm going to, same as I did before, define the middle of the tree first, and then fill it out. And there's no wrong way to paint a tree, really. They all have different shapes and heights and amounts of leaves and things, so no matter how you fill it out, you're still going to get that effect of a tree's silhouette. The key is just to take your time, use little tiny strokes, and if you're not happy with it, then take a cleansing cloth and wipe it off and try it again. I definitely redid a couple of my nails at different stages throughout my sunset manicure because I just found that I didn't quite like how different pieces turned out the first try, but I learned from each layer, and then when I did the next, I tried to fix it. So I've got 2 pine trees on there, and on the nail that I'm kind of trying to recreate, I also put this floating heart balloon. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to actually put it in a slightly different location. Actually, I want to start with my dotting tool, and I'm going to put 2 small dots up in the sky. And then I will use my striper brush to bring those 2 down into a point. There we go. And then I will use a little bit more Raven's Kiss to create a wispy little tail for my balloon, kind of hanging down into the forest there. There we go. So that's ready to be cured again. Let's just get that under the lamp. And then I need to put my snowbank down. So that's where Mystic Rain comes in. And I'm going to use the brush right from the bottle for this part. And I'm going to kind of make sure that I get a nice swooping shape there for my snowbank. There we go. Good idea to cap the nail at this point, because if you're putting this much time into painting a forest on your nails, you probably want it to last. So that will go in to cure now. All right. So I now have my base for my snowbank, and I'm going to add some highlighting to that. And for that, I'm going to use my detail brush. And I used a mixture of Nightingale, as well as some Lovey-Dovey and some Raven's Kiss, to just create a variety in the color. Create some shadows down from the trees. Add a little bit of highlighting on the snow, because this happened to be a winter picture that I was recreating. And then I also used that tiny striper brush again with a little tiny bit of Lovey-Dovey to create a little tiny reflection on my balloon. There we go. So there you have it. There's the ombre sunset, the forest, some trees, the snowbanks with some highlighting and some shadows. And then once this is cured for the last time, I will put Clearly Frisky over top of it. And there is the picture. So now, last step is to cover it, seal it with Clearly Frisky. That way it's not going to get smudged or rubbed off, but it also will help to make the image itself easier to see, because it eliminates kind of some of the bumps and lumps from all of the different layers that we've incorporated into this nail. All over the design, capping the tip of my nail again. And this is my Clearly Frisky that I use with chrome. So there's a very slight sparkle to it that you might be able to see. A little bit of a glint to it. But you can see already how much easier it is to see the design with the Clearly Frisky over top. Last cure. And there we go. All done. Thank you so much for painting along with me. I hope you learned a new technique and that you gave it a shot. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.